ties of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Bonus scoop time with our guy Darren Doogie Wolfson, Zolgad, also Declan Goff, but of course Doogie for, I don't know now, Doogs, a month or so has been on top of Timberwolves steam that officially came to fruition, if that's not redundant, on Monday. Tim Connelly hired away from the Denver Nuggets as the Timberwolves' new president of basketball operations. As I believe you said about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, the Wolves are going big game hunting, and they not only did that, but very impressively, they landed one of their top targets. So good morning, Darren, and what can you tell us about the Wolves' success in landing Tim Connelly, one of the top executives in the NBA?
Fascinating hire. Good morning, Judd. Good morning, Declan. It's not like it was Connelly or bust. Initially, the list absolutely included Toronto's Masai Ujiri and Oklahoma City's Sam Presti. Our mutual friend Dane Moore added the names Bob Myers of Golden State, Pat Riley of Miami. Those four, the two I am aware of, the two that Dane added, were never realistic. Tim Connelly was always realistic. Option year on Tim's contract for next year with Denver. The Wolves actually, Judd, did not need to seek out permission with the Denver Nuggets to communicate with Tim. Glenn Taylor decided it was the right thing to do, so sought out permission. So the Wolves, get this thing done. The equity in the team is at least 1%. So that's a new rule, or a relatively new rule in the NBA. You cannot have a limited partner that has less than 1% of ownership. So we know it's at least 1%. When I get the exact number, I certainly will pass it along. I don't think it's much beyond 2%. I think it's in that 1% to 2% ballpark. But even if it's just 1%, or let's say it's 1.5%, Judd, that is many, many, many millions of dollars. And the trajectory that this franchise is on, that is only going to increase. That is why Tim Connelly, in the end, as much as he wrestled with this decision, accepted the deal. This is life-changing money. Denver did make him a counteroffer. It didn't even touch, on a yearly basis, the $8 million he's guaranteed. Not to even mention the sliver of ownership. So, Denver countered, but didn't come close. So the Wolves get a legit president of operations. Objectively speaking, Judd, if we were to make a top 10 list of final NBA decision makers, really, objectively, Connelly is in that. I don't think he's top 5. He has his swings and misses, but he has many more hits. Objectively, he's in that 6 to 10 range. This is a home run hire. Everything ramped up on Saturday. Tim, his wife, his 2 children, ages 7 and 6, were in Mankato to bond with Glenn Taylor, with Becky Taylor. I don't know if they had lasagna. I don't know what was on the menu. I'll connect with Glenn at some point. I can pass along what the menu entailed at some point. Also, Ethan Casson, CEO, Ryan Tankey, high up, those two on the business side, were there as well. Connelly knew at that point what the offer was. He wrestled with it, went back to Denver by late Saturday or Sunday morning, was back in Denver, wrestled all day Sunday into Monday morning, alerted the Wolves late Monday morning, early afternoon, right around lunchtime. Lunchtime fluctuates for people, right? But figure about lunchtime is when Connelly officially gave the Wolves the word, yes, this is an unreal offer. I am accepting your offer.
What does this mean as well from a Timberwolves standpoint, Dukes, about Lore and A-Rod? Because I am guessing that without them, the steps to hire a guy like Tim Connelly and put together the list you talked about at the outset of your comments does not take place. So Glenn did have to give the thumbs up at the end. But what are we, and I know that they are not going to become majority owners until, probably December of 23. But what does this mean about the Wolves being at least largely controlled as far as decisions go and activity goes and aggressiveness by A-Rod and Marc Lore?
Well, a couple things off your inquiries there. Let me say I put this out on Twitter last week because there was some resistance on what I put out. Glenn Taylor was never going to be a roadblock in this pursuit of Tim Connelly. He, a while ago, gave Alex and Mark his blessing, and he told them, do as you seem fit. I will support whatever decision you make. So while some people thought Saturday had some gray area, that the talks on Saturday could have gone sideways, I am told that was never the case. Make no mistake about this, Judd. If Glenn Taylor didn't have Marc Lore and Alex Rodriguez on board, Tim Connelly is not the president of operations. They drove the bus on this. They drove the bus on the process going back many, many months. They drove the bus on the hiring of new chief experience officer Marquise Watts. They drove the bus on the Chris Finch extension. They, even though they only own at this moment 20% of the team, they have so much power. So if you're excited by this move, be excited that Marc Lore and Alex Rodriguez made this happen. Because I'm just telling you, if this was still Glenn Taylor, now Glenn Taylor has spent money, right? He spent a lot of money on Tom Thibodeau. Yep. He gave Flip Saunders back in 2013 when you could give less than 1%. Now Flip also invested some money, if I'm not mistaken. But Glenn gave Flip, for Flip to come back, a very, very tiny portion of ownership, right? But that was still stepping up to some degree. So Glenn has stepped up. But Glenn on his own was never making Tim Connelly happen. This was all Marc Lore and Alex Rodriguez.
Give me the scoop in your opinion now, and I think the top of the list is going to be pretty apparent, but Tim Connelly's to-do list now as he takes this job. What are your thoughts about that? I would guess it would start once Cat is almost certainly named All-NBA, but your thoughts on Tim Connelly's to-do list? Yeah,
well, I mean, on Cat, so he's got 2 years left on his contract. Assuming he makes All-NBA, Judd, I will be shocked if he's not at least third team All-NBA. Maybe he's even second team. We know he won't be first team, but I think it's a slam dunk that he's second team or third team. So if he makes one of those All-NBA teams, he is then eligible for a 4-year, $210 million extension. So you would have Cat for the next 2 years, then tack on 4 additional years. So you would have him under control for 6 more years. Years 4, 5, and 6 would have Cat making north of $50 million a season. I'm sure there are some people saying, what? Like, you can't give Cat that sort of money. Judd, you have to. You have a top 15, top 20 type player. We can debate whether he's a superstar. We can debate whether he's an alpha on a really, really good team. But you have to give Cat that extension. The way I look at it, Judd, like, can you eventually trade the contract? If you had to trade the contract, could you eventually trade the contract? You could. Even with Cat coming off the stem cell procedures, questions maybe about his knees, as he gets into 29, 30, 31, 32 years old. I still firmly believe if you had to, you could trade the Karl-Anthony Towns contract. So to me, it's a no-brainer. You offer him that supermax. Then Tim Connelly has to decide, does he want max cap space summer of 2023, 1 year from now? Does he not do anything on the D'Angelo Russell front? Russell is extension eligible this summer. Hard for me to believe that Tim Connelly is going to give D'Angelo Russell the extension that he wants. Remember, Malik Beasley has an option on his contract, so you don't need to exercise that. So you could let him go after next year. Then you have Pat Beverly on an expiring contract next year. So if Tim Connelly wants, he can have max flexibility, max cap space, summer of 2023. More immediately, the Wolves have 4 draft picks 19, 40, 48, and 50. Now, do I think the Wolves are drafting 4 guys that will be here this year? No. So that means something is going to take place. It's not a strong draft for stash guys. Like, there have been a lot stronger drafts in terms of overseas prospects that you would stash for a year or two before bringing over. Now, you can still probably find a guy. So with Connelly's history, specifically with Nikola Jokic back in, 2014, maybe there is a guy that he likes at 40 or 48 or 50 that he can stash. But I also think there's going to be, a good amount of trade dialogue with at least one, if not multiple, of those picks. Very, very immediately, like, there are draft workouts that the Wolves have scheduled. Now, I was told they actually had one for today, Tuesday, May 24th. J.D. Davison, a good guard from Alabama, was supposed to be in today, but apparently now that has been rescheduled. But the Wolves had a bunch of prospects in yesterday for workouts. I know Peyton Willis, the former Gopher, is a part of a group workout 1 week from today. So very, very immediately, it's locking in on the draft work that he was already doing in Denver. Like, I know from Breck High School, Minneapolis native David Roddy has worked out for the Nuggets. So the Nuggets have had prospects in going back the last couple weeks. Connelly was at the Combine, right, doing work, interviewing prospects. So he's already ahead of the game, or at least caught up in terms of, draft preparation. But there's more draft preparation to do. Then, Judd, I'm curious to see how soon he brings in at least one of his guys. It may not be right this second. Maybe it's after the free agency wave, closer to training camp. Maybe it's after the season, but there is strong buzz, Judd, that he's looking to bring in a relatively big name. Now, if it's the name that people have told me, Judd, it's a name that I'm aware of, but I'm an NBA aficionado, right? If you're a diehard, it's a name
Junkie,
you would probably know. Junkie. For the casual fan, it's a name that you would definitely have to Google. But I'm told it's a guy that has had a chance to be a president of operations previously, has turned down opportunities, that Connelly feels like he can bring this guy in. So, like, I'm thinking if he can seal the deal on that, now I think there's still a ways to go on that front, but if he can seal the deal on that front, like, that guy isn't coming here to be the number 3. So I still think Sachin Gupta's role is up in the air. Yes, I've said for a while, Judd, of course the Wolves want to retain Sachin Gupta. But if you're Gupta, how are you not a bit pissed off? I don't know if he'll ever verbalize that, but how are you not pissed off? I know a number of people who tried to reach out to Gupta yesterday. He's gone relatively silent. I was over at Lynx practice yesterday. I saw him walking across the court, tried to signal to him via text message.
Did you flag him
He had
down?
no interest in coming over and engaging
Sachin,
with
talk to
me and Jace Frederick. So I'm just telling you, I don't know this firsthand, but I'm just telling you, I'm led to believe there's a good amount of frustration there. Now, if the Wolves want to pay him an absurd amount of money, everybody's got a price, right? Tim Connelly has a price. Tim Connelly didn't want to leave Denver, Judd, but he has a price. How do you turn down a sliver of ownership? Like, this is unheard of, right? But I think we need to keep an eye on Sachin. Remember, last summer he was on his way to the Houston Rockets to be the number 2 guy there. So does he look at that opportunity again? Does he look at other opportunities? He's got a number of friends in the league. So I know they alluded to in the press release on Monday that Connelly is going to work closely with Chris Finch, with Sachin Gupta. Like, I'm pausing on that. Maybe on Gupta, but to be determined on Gupta. Another tentacle to all of this, Judd. I am aware of some NBA folks pissed off that the Wolves have done this, that there is this now new precedent. Now, it's not completely unheard of. I mentioned Flip Saunders back 9 years ago, right, got a sliver, a very tiny, very, 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 very tiny sliver of ownership. And I'm led to believe he also invested some of his own money. But, like, this isn't completely unheard of. But we haven't heard of instances in the last few years. So if you are an NBA owner who has a president of operations on, let's say, an expiring contract, or his contract expires in like 1 year, like, how pissed off are you that you may now, to retain said president of operations, may have to offer that individual 1% ownership.
Hey, Dukes, why didn't the Nuggets have something in Connelly's contract as it was active in Denver that stipulated that the Wolves had to ask? Because you know what? A-Rod, and this is not said as a criticism, I actually think it's a good thing. A-Rod and Lore, as I texted you last night, to me feel a bit on the Mark Cuban-ish side, which I actually like. But I don't really think they care about feelings and, oh my God, the Nuggets might be mad. So why wouldn't a current team have some type of stipulation in an executive, especially an executive like that, his contract saying until your contract's expired, other teams have to go through us to talk to you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm thinking it has something to do with the option year. I need to dig further on that, Judd. So I don't want to speak out of turn too much.
Sure.
It's a very interesting question you ask. I don't have every answer on that. I just know I was told very specifically that the Wolves actually did not need to seek out permission, but Glenn Taylor thought it was the right thing to do. So initially reached out to the Cronkies going back multiple weeks.
That is great stuff. What do you think the biggest difference with Connelly is? And if you were to put together the list, aside from just probably a real credibility he's going to bring to the Wolves, where would drafting rank? Because I was thinking last night, aside from some very high draft picks, this franchise, part of its downfall, starting back with Kevin, was probably some very questionable picks that we reflected on. And this goes beyond Curry. I'm talking about like second round picks that they just punted on and didn't care about. Where would draft picks fall in the list of where Tim Connelly is going to get things hopefully right here?
Well, I mean, he has a good track record, but heck, so did Gerson Rosas, right? When you hit on Jalen Noel, who I still think has a very bright future, maybe not necessarily here in Minnesota, but I would bet on Jalen Noel. Let's circle back on Jalen Noel 2 years from now. I think it'll be about the right opportunity. But Jalen Noel, this may be a ridiculous statement. So go ahead, criticize me all you want.
Declan,
but you mean to tell me that Jalen Noel is really far off from Tyler Hero, the sixth man a year? Yeah. I'm just telling you. Yes, would I rather have Tyler Hero right this second? Of course.
Right.
But my point is Jalen Noel is not that far off. He really isn't. It's about opportunity. Right? So I give Gerson Rosas credit for that draft pick. Naz Reid, undrafted.
Yep,
right?
That's good.
So to secure him immediately after that draft. Yeah, he missed completely on Jarrett Culver, although his opinion on Darius Garland was spot on. That was the guy he wanted all along. Darius Garland is a stud for my guy JB Bickerstaff in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So there has been a good track record. Anthony Edwards, right? I mean, I said I was a James Wiseman guy, right? I could not have been more wrong on that. They picked the right guy. As good as Ball is in Charlotte, for this franchise, Anthony Edwards was the right pick. Jaden McDaniels, heck of a get in the 20s, right? So there has been some recent success. But you look at Tim Connelly, really his only big miss, Emmanuel Mudiay. He had one other miss, a big man, a Caucasian guy. His name is escaping me. You could Google all the Denver Nuggets draft picks going back to 2013, but you think about Jokic. Now, on Jokic, I can promise you, European scouts or other scouts, that wasn't solely a Tim Connelly pick. When you're taking a guy at pick 41, nor are you expecting at pick 41 to pick a future two-time MVP. But clearly, Connelly gets some credit, even if it just was listening to those under him saying, we need to take this guy. So To me, he gets some level of credit for Jokic, Jamal Murray, Bones Highland. How about Monte Morris in the second round? I can go up and down the list. Way more hits than swings and misses. I'm telling you, Judd, go ahead, start making a list of the top 10 final decision makers in the league. You would be very, very hard pressed, based largely on his draft hits, to not have Tim Connelly in your top 10.
More scoops. Continue on the scoop train, my man. You're on a roll today.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of NBA draft steam. It had to be weird yesterday. So Gupta, they have these 5 draft prospects, and I wrote them down So the Wolves, like some teams, the Atlanta Hawks announced their draft workouts. I don't know why the Wolves don't. Why not? It shows that you're working.
Right.
And we know they're working, but
Right.
I don't get why you wouldn't put out the names of guys coming in for draft workouts. But it gives me something to dig on, right? So the Wolves had these prospects in yesterday. And I don't even know if you'll know any of these names, but I'll get to my point in a second. Grant Sherfield, a guard from Nevada. John Butler, a forward from Florida State. Jariah Horn, forward from Tulsa. Julian Champagny, a forward from St. John's, who I like. Like, I would be open to him coming to the Wolves somewhere in the second round. And Iverson Molnar from Mississippi State. My point is, so these guys are in for workouts, then for conversations with the Wolves front office in the afternoon yesterday. And maybe Sachin knew all along, hey, it was trending this way. Like Tim Connelly was going to struggle to say no when the Wolves are offering equity. But like it had to be awkward as Sachin Gupta is at Mayo Clinic Square yesterday doing all this draft prep, interviewing these prospects, and his phone is blowing up, even if he didn't respond to a lot of people, but his phone is blowing up.
Right.
People just, well wishes and all that, people feeling horrible for him. And I get it. It's a cutthroat business.
Right.
But it had to be awkward for Sachin as he's conducting draft work yesterday to finally hear the news that it's official, that Tim Connelly is coming. Maybe he knew about it earlier based on A-Rod's Instagram story. Alex Rodriguez just couldn't help himself.
They don't
If
care.
people want to credit Woj or somebody else for having the scoop, no. Alex Rodriguez had the scoop on his Instagram story a good 15-ish to 20 minutes before the Woj tweet.
ESPN.
And I'm telling you, that was
Prime,
very
baby.
strategic. Very, very strategic. Just classic Alex Rodriguez.
Twins. What type of scoops you got for us on the Twins?
Well, I'll revisit the conversation we've had going back weeks now that the Twins are, 10 games over 500? Judd Zulgad, at any point this season, will the Twins be below 500? Last week you said yes. Have you changed your mind?
Here's my question. Will they play good teams someday again?
Yes, they will.
Well, I mean,
Then
Very
there's a
soon.
chance they'll go below 500.
Very soon.
Doogie, I have no idea. I mean, Dex and I were both at the game last night against Detroit. I mean, the Tigers
They're horrible.
awful. I'm shocked they're this bad. I thought.
well,
they'd
they
be
should have
improved.
won that game, though. I mean, the Twins gave away a lot of at-bats
Yeah, they
after the
did.
Kepler
But that's what I'm
grand
saying is
slam.
the Yankees
Yeah.
win that game. I think
Oh,
the
of
Blue
course they
Jays
do.
might win that
Yes.
game. The Tampa Bay Rays might come back and win that game. The Tigers belong at the Golden Valley Rec Field.
Yeah,
Playing
they're not
with
good.
Doogie.
I get it. The Royals are not good either. I'm taking the family on
Oakland.
Sunday, fully expecting to see a victory on Sunday afternoon. Yes, but are they supposed to apologize? I mean,
No,
the wins
take the
count the
wins.
same. Take
No, but
the wins.
but you're
Keep
asking-
stacking the wins.
But you're asking me to make an educated decision based on a picture that's not complete. I agree completely. Good for them. And there is no question too, dudes. And Kepler talked about this extensively in the clubhouse last night. That clubhouse was fractured last year. It
Which we
was
didn't.
a mess.
We heard some of it, but
We didn't
without
know.
access because of COVID, we really
100%.
didn't know. But yeah,
It was
for
awful.
Kepler to go on the record last night talking about the individualism
Kepler
of
doesn't do that.
last year.
He doesn't talk.
No, he doesn't. I mean, let's just cut to the chase. Josh Donaldson, right? Now, the Twins knew what they were
Simmons.
getting when they signed him,
Yeah.
right? But he rubbed many people the wrong way. Just put it this way.
Yeah.
The Twins were very, very happy to convince the New York Yankees to
Yes.
take that entire contract.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And it all worked out when you end up signing Correa. You had that
Yep.
financial flexibility because Kiner Falefa is a good shortstop. The Yankees are thrilled
Yep.
to have him, but that was the price of business to get the Yankees to take all of Josh Donaldson's contract.
It worked out
The
just
Twins were literally doing cartwheels. Maybe not literally, but figuratively doing cartwheels to be able to
Falvey
move
was
that
doing
contract.
cartwheels.
If I had told the Twins last October
Yep.
that, hey, come this offseason, you will find a way to move the entire Josh Donaldson contract, Judd, they would have laughed at me. They would have said, no freaking way, no bleeping way can we move that entire contract. We'll have to eat at least $10 million, or maybe $15 million. Like, we can't move that entire contract. There isn't a scenario where we could move that entire contract. Well, there was a scenario. So, yeah, I mean, it's kumbaya. in the Twins clubhouse. I did check, Judd, because I've mentioned in this spot that the Twins, still have Frankie Montas of the Oakland A's on their radar. Certainly some other starting pitchers. I checked on Tyler. The last name is Mahle. Is it Mahle? Is that how you say his last name for the Cincinnati
Mahle.
Reds? Yeah. Pretty good starting pitcher who presumably the Reds are going to move before the August 2nd trade deadline.
Yep.
But so far, zero dialogue. It doesn't sound like the Twins have gotten to the point, now that we're in season, of picking up the phone, having legit conversations on trade targets. Yes, they have their internal list, but they haven't taken that internal list externally quite yet as we've moved into the season. Yes, plenty in March before the season began, but once opening day hit on, April 8th, the Twins have not conducted any in-season trade talks.
Mahle is the correct pronunciation.
Mahle, okay, yeah.
All right, sir. Much appreciated, and we'll talk to you for more Scoopage on Thursday, but great stuff and a great conversation about the Wolves. This should be very interesting.
Yeah,
Talk
I
to
mean,
you,
Wolves
dude.
fans, Judd, they should be thrilled. I mean, we can dissect all the behind the scenes stuff. I can throw out that there's people in the NBA pissed off, but guess what? If you're a Wolves fan, you don't care. Your team, your favorite team, just landed a rock star. I think Sachin Gupta can eventually be a rock star. I do feel horrible for Sachin, but Tim Connelly is a proven rock star. This is a monumental move for a franchise that maybe the Tibbs move changed things a little bit, but historically just doesn't make a move like this.
Awesome stuff, Dukes. Talk to you Thursday. Thank you.
Okay, see you. Bye.